Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a fine day today. I'm having a pretty good day. It's been a busy day, but the weather is lovely outside. It's been really warm for the beginning of spring. It's been I think the high of today was 85 degrees. And to those of you that live outside of America, 85 degrees is around 29, 30 degrees. Yesterday it was 32 degrees. And in USA speak, that means 90 degrees. So it's been pretty warm for the beginning of spring, but the weather has been nice, and it's just a great time to be outside. I've been very busy these last few days, but I'm glad that I've been keeping busy because it keeps my mind occupied. And so all of the hustle and bustle that I've been through, this roller coaster of just tasks, things to do, and also thoughts in my mind, and many thoughts racing in my head because I have so many other things to do. And it just got me thinking how life would be boring without thoughts. Now, I know many of you have probably heard somewhere out in the internet, or maybe you've read something that talks about quieting the mind and having inner peace, and how that can help you feel more relaxed and less stressed. And that's valid. I'm not dismissing that opinion, because it's really important to be able to achieve stillness of the mind. It's really important to be able to control your mind and have a moment in your day where you have no thoughts, where you can just be. But I do think that what makes this human experience so interesting is our thoughts. And our thoughts can be used as a tool or a weapon, right? They can be used as a weapon if they start taking control over our autonomy, and they start taking control of our pure awareness. They can become disturbing and annoying, and we may feel anxiety because there's just too many thoughts racing in your head. And so your thoughts can become weapons, right? But if you learn to control your thoughts and you learn to manage them, then they add color and expression into your life. If you have, quote unquote, good thoughts. And by good thoughts, I mean thoughts that uplift you and make you feel whole, or thoughts that are beneficial to feeling, and this is my personal belief, feeling some type of deep union with God, tapping into yourself. You still have thoughts, but you're still tapped into you, yourself, and to the world around you. You feel connected. You have thoughts of connection instead of thoughts of disconnection and distrust and animosity, right? That doesn't mean that we should always seek positive thoughts, because that could become toxic. You've probably heard of the term toxic positivity, right? And I really do believe that it's important to acknowledge when something in your life is not right. Like if you're feeling depressed or you're feeling anxiety, they say in AA, the first step to recovery is awareness. And that also goes for anything that's afflicting you in your own life. The first thought to recovery is admitting that you feel a certain way. So, for example, if you're feeling depressed, anxious, sad, angry, jealous, whatever it is that you're feeling, and these emotions are uncomfortable, acknowledge that you feel that way. Oh, I'm feeling jealous. And observe the jealousy. And by observe the jealousy, I always got confused when people would say that to me. It was like, how do you observe an emotion? But really, it's just feeling your body, feeling how that perspective, that point of view feels in your body. What sensations do you feel in your body? When you think, for example, if you're jealous about somebody or you're angry at someone, okay, think about being angry about so-and-so and being angry at, this other person. Think about that and just observe when you have those thoughts, how does that point of view of being angry at that person feel in your body? What sensations do you feel? Maybe your heart starts racing, or maybe you start feeling jittery. What is it that you feel? And you just observe that. And that's what I have learned. That's what I've learned about observing my thoughts, or what observing means, observing your emotions. It's just feeling whatever it is that you feel in your body and allowing it to be there. And there are times where you can make those emotions feel more intense because you start embellishing those thoughts. So for example, if you're angry at someone, and yes, you feel that sensation of anger because they did whatever it is that they did, right? Sometimes we might embellish that story, that thought, by thinking, oh, so-and-so must have done that because they're an asshole, or because they wanted me to suffer, or whatever it is. And so that makes you even more angry, and that just adds fuel to the fire, right? And it makes the emotions more intense. But what I have learned in my own life is that just being able to observe the thought that is bothering me or that is uncomfortable, without trying to embellish it, or without trying to put an additional story on top of the story that already is, or that already happened, instead of trying to go that way, I just observe how that pure thought, the thought of anger, the thought of jealousy, the thought of discomfort feels in my body. And it's very uncomfortable. As they say, it's easier said than done, because it's very uncomfortable to be in your body in those states when you're experiencing those emotions, because these are emotions that have a lot of power, for lack of a better term. They have a lot of power. They have like very intense sensations, right? You experience very intense sensations throughout your body. And it might be very uncomfortable. But what I have done in my own life, and I'm still practicing this, I'm no master of this whatsoever. I still experience resistance from the uncomfortable moments, right? So one of the ways that I've helped myself when I try and resist an uncomfortable emotion is by giving myself breaks. So for example, if I'm feeling a lot of anger within me, or I'm feeling a lot of anxiety within me, I'll give myself 2 minutes or 1 minute or sometimes even 30 seconds if the anxiety is intense and overbearing. I'll give myself 30 seconds to experience that anxiousness in my body. Just observe it and see how it feels and feel it out. And for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, however much I can hold, I allow it to be there. And then I go back to my coping mechanisms, whatever that may be. I have my own coping mechanisms. Sometimes I'll scroll on my phone, look at random websites on my phone, read random articles, look at old pictures that I've taken, or I'll go on the internet, watch a video on YouTube or something just to distract myself from the anxiety. And then I go back when I feel like I've distracted myself enough. I go back and, I sit with myself, and the anxiety inevitably comes up again, and I allow myself to experience it again for maybe if I tried 30 seconds the first time, I try to do 1 minute the second time. And I experience the anxiety for 1 minute. And so what I'm trying to say is that whenever I'm feeling a very uncomfortable emotion that I'm trying to deal with and it just seems very overbearing, I give myself breaks. Like, I'll allow myself to feel, and then I'll have a couple of minutes of being with the emotion, and then I'll go back to whatever it is that I was doing to distract myself. And for me, this may not work for everybody, of course, and I'm just sharing this just in case someone feels like it helps them. But for me, I think it just takes awareness. It takes awareness that you have to set time aside to feel those emotions. So if you're going to feel the anxiety for 30 seconds, make a promise to yourself that you will go back and revisit that anxiety that was left behind at a later time once you feel recuperated after you've had your fix of whatever it is that you have. And I'm not encouraging addictions, but we all have coping mechanisms. Some people go on the internet, some people watch television, some people will go out on a run and just run, or go out to the gym. Whatever it is, go back. It's easier to feel those intense emotions, uncomfortable emotions, in doses. So I don't know if this would work for everybody. It's worked for me, and maybe it works for someone else that tries this. But in the beginning of the video, I was talking about how thoughts can be a weapon and tool, and how life would be boring without thoughts. And I do stand by that. Life would be boring if we didn't have our little inner voice talking to us. And because thoughts can be beautiful, thoughts can be uplifting, thoughts can be encouraging, and that's how we do stuff in this human experience. It all starts with a thought, and then you go to the planning stage where you're actually writing down what you want to do, or you actually plan it out somehow, and then that plan gets executed and you finally, achieve your goal, right? And so that goal that you had started as an idea. It started out as a thought, right? And thoughts can rivet us to do great things in our lives, but they can also take us to a place where it's dark and gloomy. And like I said, I don't encourage toxic positivity. If you do have a negative emotion, observe it. Or if you have a negative thought, observe it. Observe the negative thought. Don't push it away, just observe it for a couple of seconds. Observe how it feels in your body. Maybe the thought is very disturbing in your mind. So observe it, just like take a glimpse and give yourself a glimpse, and then close back that window or the curtain, draw the curtain and go back to your distraction. And when you feel better and you feel a lot stronger, you can go back and see what's behind the curtain, maybe for a couple more seconds, or maybe for a minute or two. You draw the curtain and see what's there, and then it gets a little too intense and you close the curtain. So I'm using metaphors here, but what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we have very disturbing thoughts. We get very anxious thoughts. We get thoughts that we really want to push away because we don't even want to put it in the forefront of our minds. And that's valid. That's healthy, right? Because if we always hyper-focused on every single thought, we would go crazy, right? But if that thought is disturbing, like genuinely disturbing, and it's taking away your inner peace, then it's important to observe it. Observe the deeper meaning behind this thought. So like I said, toxic positivity is not the answer. If you have a negative thought, or you feel anxiety, you feel stress, you're feeling anxious because of this and this and this and this and this, or you're feeling depressed because you feel unloved, and whatever it is, those are all thoughts, right? And those thoughts, they create emotions within our bodies. But we can also, when we have those uplifting, encouraging, loving thoughts, it's also a beautiful experience in our body. We feel alive, we feel invigorated, we feel, you feel you, right? You feel your being. So thoughts aren't your enemy. It's the way you control. It's how much control you've allowed those thoughts to have in your mind that becomes the problem. Thoughts themselves aren't out there to harm you or to cause you any kind of stress. They're just thoughts. They're, as they say, clouds in the sky. But sometimes those clouds in the sky are dark and scary. And sometimes they bring rain. And that can be scary, and thunder. That can be scary. So it's important to observe them. Observe those clouds and see what the clouds can teach us. Or see if there's a deeper meaning behind those clouds. Or see if the clouds, the rain, has a purpose. You know, the rain's purpose is to water the plants and to water our beautiful landscapes, and so we can have life, right? And therefore, the rain, because of rain, we have drinking water, and, you know, it gives us life too. It's uncomfortable, you know, thunderstorms and rainstorms and gloominess. It's not ideal, but it's important for life, for us to have life, all of us, all human beings and tree beings and animal beings and all the other beings in this world. I think I went on a tangent there, but what I'm trying to say is that your thoughts aren't the enemy, the thoughts themselves. How they control you, how much control you give those thoughts is when that becomes the problem. Because thoughts are what make your life beautiful. It's what makes your life colorful. If you have great thoughts, uplifting thoughts, thoughts that invigorate you and make you feel alive, then those thoughts can add color into your experience. Imagine having zero thoughts, never, ever, ever, ever having, you just never have thoughts, ever. Your life would be bland because you wouldn't be motivated to execute anything in your life, to do anything. You wouldn't have goals or dreams because they all start as a thought. And so our thoughts can be tools, but they can also be weapons. I'm still learning this. I'm still practicing the art of managing your thoughts and the art of being a human. I don't know if that's an art, but I'm just doing my best. And yeah, I'm not a master of this. I suck sometimes, and sometimes I got it pretty down. But sometimes I'm just like, what the heck? My mind is all over the place, and I'm anxious, and I'm just like, whoa, right? But I do my best, and I'm sure you do too. So, have a great one. I hope you have happy thoughts. Peace and love. Bye.